Welcome, and thank you all for joining in. I can see here we've got a few joining us, so thank you. And we've been having a very interesting time with with Dragon, calling us together and bringing us. Well, it's like they're really calling in all Dragon. So whether you're Dragon Rider or you are Dragon, it's like you're being called in. So this is why we've been asked to bring this together, and I'm noticing around the different ones are also gathering and calling Dragon as well with their gatherings and calls. So last week we held this for the first time, and Dragon really came through and told us they were cleaning up the atmosphere. And for me, with that image that they were showing me, it was more the chemicals that were in the sprays that have been sprayed around in the atmosphere, but also it was like within the atmosphere of our being, our body, ourselves, and the field. So what they were asking was for those who wanted to connect in and who are being called to connect, is about connecting in and clearing your own atmosphere as well. And they didn't say environment, it was atmosphere. So for me, that's really what this was about. There was many different layers to it, though, I can feel and know. And each one, Bev and Jan and myself, we've all had different things going on through the week that have been calling us back to our dragon, to us as dragons. So today we're just opening up again as I was getting directed to create another one for this week, and who knows where we're going to go today. We just leave it up to them to guide us, or us as dragon to guide us. Because the one thing that's really coming through from them, for me anyway, to pass on, is that it's to stop seeing ourselves as separate to them. Stop seeing ourselves as them and us. It's we are one, we are all this energy. So it's about connecting to that and the multidimensionality of that, and to stop trying to structure it or to put it into compartmentalize it, because this isn't anything to be put into boxes and labeled. It's like they're wanting us to use new language, but I haven't got the new language. It's hard to try for me at the moment anyway. I know my mental switching and the vocab, how we go to say a sentence and everything drops away and we don't even know what vocabulary, we were going to be saying, or what we were going to be even mentioning in the question or the answer or the sentence itself. Well, this is that new language coming in. And one thing that I've been aware of is to stop myself and just pause for a moment and think of new ways to express with new language, new wording, new meaning. So it's really a switching over from our old into very much of the new vibration and energy that's coming in. So to stay wide open to that. And Dragon's really coming in to clean up at the moment. It's a real cleanup job. And for me, I just want to say this a little bit too. September was really shaking, rocking and rolling, and it was pushing us to really look back into whatever we might have missed. And with Mercury retrograde, it was taking us back over again and looking at what we might have missed or just needed to finish off in any way with whatever it might have been and whatever life was presenting to us, and emotionally, mentally, everything. And now it's like October for me is showing itself to be something that's going to actually really show you now where you are and what new creations are going to start sort of taking form. Also, there's going to be a lot revealed around what's happened over the last 3 years, and that there is going to be quite a shake-up for a lot of people. And they're asking us also to be compassionate and empathetic with those who are waking up to this new information and new knowledge. It's going to shake some to their core, and we need to be there for them. Like, not need to be, but it's something that it's find your heart in that and be there for those people when you can be, if you can and if you choose to, all well and good. So that's my little spiel for the moment. Welcome, Jan and Bev, again. And yeah, what else?
Well, I'd like to share just a little bit about what's happened for me this week since our dragon encounter last week. On Tuesday morning, I just go to the rocks. You need to go to the rocks. So off I went, and because I'm very obedient sometimes.
After a little argument.
Yeah. And so what I came to while I was out at the rocks was about the terror that was held in my body. But as it's expanded, there was the terror within my family, down my family line, but it's also the terror that we have felt around the dragons. You know, there's been a lot of information out there that's not really, it's just not
correct.
Not okay, and it's made us really fearful. In fact, there's been terror around it. So clearing that out of my cells, I know I was helping clear it out of the cells of others as well. So, you know, that's been my experience this week, and it was quite intense because I could feel it vibrating out of all the cells of my body.
Yes. And that was another thing that came through the other night, Friday night, was that we are not going to be treated that way any longer. You know, we've had lifetimes of being persecuted and not accepted. And the image of us has been quite, you know, dragon, I'm talking, has been quite, you know, that it's all about destruction, fire and destruction. And this time isn't going to be like that. It's not about that anymore. We are going to be held. We are already being held, and we're being accepted and loved, and we're not going to have that persecution. The other thing is too, just one other thing keeps coming, is that when they say cleaning up the environment, it's not about fire. It's not their fire. No. It's not using fire. No. It's vibrational frequency. They're changing and shifting things with frequency.
Yeah, because that was the other thing that my dragon that connected with me after last time was a water dragon, but she lives in the depths of the ocean. It's like, so she goes right down into those deep, dark places that nobody actually really wants to acknowledge or explore. And it's been my thing for a long time, is looking at the shadow. And so it was no surprise to me when she turned up and took me in to the depths of the ocean. And the other thing that happened when I went down into the depths of that ocean was they took me into through a doorway where everybody was partying. It was like, and they were multidimensional beings from everywhere. So for me, it gave me so much hope that we are getting there. You know, it's like, it's not, even if we can't see it as being in our human form, that we're being seen multidimensionally, that actually, there is a clearing out happening. There is an acknowledgement of all of the multidimensional aspects of us.
Definitely. So what about you, Jan? What did you get?
Very busy. Very busy. No, it like last weekend, you know, for me, as I explained, was the first time ever doing a live. So for me, it was really stepping into my dragon and really acknowledging that this isn't about me. You know, it's about me as dragon, not about me as the human. And they were, the energy is expansive, and they sing. I don't know how else to say it, because it's that frequency and vibration.
It is, yeah.
And when they use fire, it's not always, like you said, it's not about destruction, because some fire is absolutely, if you look at a laser blade that a surgeon uses, that's a precision fire.
Yes.
You know, do we sit in terror of a surgeon that's doing microsurgery to save somebody's life? with this thing that the intensity of it is amazing, but it's being directed in such a purposeful way.
Mm-hmm.
And the dragons are going, that's also us. So when they say they use fire, it's not about, you know, like the movies and all the books, you know, where they go out and fry sheep and do everything else, you know, and destroy everything. And create terror. Yeah. It's about, hey, hold on. Some of us are doing minute, microscopic, you know, directions. And when you talk about clearing up the atmosphere, they also keep showing me this last week, our ley lines. Now, some of them have got really, really tired. It's like old sewage or old pipes. They're tired. They've been misused by humans and others. And they're worn. So there's all these new ley lines coming in, and they are microscopically connecting them all. You know, and when we talk about us connecting with ley lines, and they still exist, like Stonehenge, they keep showing me Stonehenge and some of the other ley lines as not being broken, but as being weary. And it's almost like these new ones are coming in as bypasses to connect in, to actually strengthen it and widen it. Yes. So our ley lines are actually becoming bigger rather than smaller. There's actually more of them, and they're becoming super highways. I don't know how else to say it, because it doesn't, and that's to allow us to step into the multidimensionality, because we need to step out of the 3D, because we get so caught up in 3D, 4D, 5D, you know,
whatever levels.
Yeah, and whatever, you know, and you know, and there are people out there that honestly travel that path, and that is their path. But the dragons are like, well, if we need to do the work in human or in earth form, we do it there. If we need to do it multidimensional, we're there. They don't see dimensions as being anything. They are just multidimensional, so they are on all frequencies at the same time.
They can. Do you think that maybe these ley lines are being strengthened since Uluru came back online?
Yeah. And that's also
it's got to have something to do with it, for sure.
Yeah,
because Uluru
is when they activated that, it was like to be spread out through all the rest of the planet. Yeah. And I'm feeling that the dragons had a fair bit to do with that.
So really, we're just going to be one ginormous ley line, pretty much. It's like Uluru was like the stone and a pot. Fluid flow. Yeah. 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 And so that way we're vortexing down, so that when the wave comes up for the atmosphere, it's just going to meet in a beautiful symphony. There's no discord at the moment. It's like we're coming together, but they want to rush. Well, they don't want to rush it. Like, their idea of rushing and our idea of rushing are two different things. They've been waiting millennia for humans to wake up enough to be able to embrace the dragon. As a rider, as a dragon, as an elven working with dragon, whatever you are resonating with, angel, whatever it is, it's like the dragons hold no discrimination, because everything for them has a place. You know, some maybe not as great a place because they're not as beneficial, but there's always got to be the balance, and they don't hold discrimination. So if you resonate with angels and you want to help heal the planet with angelic frequency, that is that frequency. But for me, it's dragon. And we don't have an orchestra that is all drums or all flutes or all violins. There's all these energies that come in together to create the most beautiful song.
Absolutely. When we went to the UK, and there were two places that we went to that I got out of the vehicle and not even got out of the vehicle as soon as we came into the energy of them. One was Stonehenge and the other was the Roslyn Chapel in Roslyn. And both times my instant reaction was just this fury. I was fuming. I was so angry. And I'm sitting in the car and my body was just shaking. I was so angry. And I thought, what on earth? Like, what am I doing? You know, anyway, got out. I had to walk it and breathe through it all. And I was like, huffing and puffing, man, walking, trying. This rage was just, I was going to annihilate. And I was, you know, asking, what is this? And instantly that what I was just showing was how much they'd been raped, energetically raped. It was like these people were using it as their money, money. Everyone had to pay to go there. It was all about profit. It was all about it wasn't about the energy. It wasn't about the sacredness of it. It was just exploitation. And oh my goodness, man, did I get fired up over those. Yeah. And there was a bit of clearing work and a lot of huffing and puffing definitely going on. Yeah, wasn't nice. And so those, like you're saying, those ley lines, those sacred spaces that have just been absolutely used for and abused in many
and terrorized
ways. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is time for that to stop. And I know a lot of people felt they were doing it in their best intention, even a lot of light workers and people going in and doing stuff that didn't actually necessarily need to be done. Whatever, it always balances out, but it was definitely the exploitation of them all. It was not nice.
And that is too, the ley lines are an energy field, so people abusing those spaces.
Yes.
Taking a hunk of rock or trying to put that, like it's like walking anywhere and you see graffiti or people who put their initials in something that's a living, breathing thing that's about sacred. That just muddies the water. But what it also does is it's just those ley lines, they close in on themselves because they're there for free. Like, that's the thing people don't get, is the energy and the ley lines were created before we were created, before we walked this earth. So how dare we think that we can charge somebody else that was something that was already gifted to us? When earth was created, these ley lines were laid in the foundations. They were sung into being by Dragon, and they were gifted to Mother Earth. And they were gifted for us to come and be part of, not to rape, pillage and terrorize, because if you're doing it the wrong way, you're doing it the wrong way, like that sort of energy. And so it became very selfish. And the energy behind Stonehenge was about a creation within a creation with a portal. And that was one of our gateways to other places. Well, that got closed down pretty fast because we were busy doing other stuff in the sacred space. So the same with, so that's why now like, I know Stonehenge is still magic, and I can feel the energy. I don't need to visit Stonehenge to tap into those ley lines. If I'm sitting in Dragon and open to the frequencies and vibration, I'm tapped into every ley line.
Yeah.
So as we do it, we should be doing it energetically. We don't physically need to be there. It's like when we get shown other worlds, we're there in our multidimensional energy self, not in the human. We get so bogged down as I've got to go and touch that, or I've got to go and do this, or because that's what we've been conditioned to do as humans. Because
we have to get a selfie with it.
Oh, sorry. I've got my makeup today. Hold on. Yeah, but that's the truth, isn't it? Or it's on the, if you're going to tour England, and somebody knows you're spiritual, are you going to go and visit Stonehenge?
Yeah.
Or are you going to go and do, this?
Glastonbury.
I wonder if, you're saying about the ley line sung into being. I wonder if that's why the Aboriginals always sang the song lines. Yeah. And
they do. Yeah.
They do. Well, they did until Europeans arrived and broke the song lines.
So you think about the rainbow serpent.
Yeah, well, I just remember it's in a past life trying to stop the whites from putting their fences across the ley lines, but of course they weren't listening. They never understood how that worked.
Yeah.
And Australia has a lot of ants. And one of the things that the ants do is that they run the ley lines as well. You'll find, especially our big red meat ants, they congregate in those high frequency places, and they also keep the ley lines open. So it's a yeah, but we've all decimated everybody else's culture.
Yep.
And, you know, it's starting to rise again, and the information will start
But
being
just
played again.
yeah, and just in the housing, you know, just where people have built houses, which is in towns and cities, and how many times I've been called to the same house, different people living in it, even, you know, to the same house, because it's got certain energy that should never really have had a house built on it, to be honest. You know, they
we
just
never actually have
never
spent time tuning in to where things should be placed, because the land will tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting. In Perth, they have, and I know I'm taking a different thing, but the fire station in Perth is built where they used to do corroborees. The Mount Hospital is where was a healing place, and Kings Park was where all the families gathered. So, but it's interesting how sometimes those energies were transferred without any cognitive knowing. But when we can cognitively know this and ask the land what it wants, things would rapidly change.
And that's what I mean with these new ley lines is I almost feel like they're doing bypasses around some of these energies that are just too mucky right now. It's the only word, like, you know, they can't go around and unsing several buildings or a town because it's in the wrong spot and being used for the wrong things. So, you know, they do the bypasses, you know, to reconnect back. And it's not dishonoring that ley line, but what it's doing is supporting that ley line to just hold a really soft frequency. And because it's like trying to get a sound or you know, out of a sealed box, you know, it keeps hitting the lid because we built on top of it, or the wrong energies are there. Look at where some of the prisons are located, you know, and some of those sit on ley lines, you know, those energies. Look at where some of the, you know, in New Zealand live in, where Kimberley was built, you know, and now they put all these houses there, and every time I used to drive past, I'd see the energy of all these people screaming in pain. And so having to keep doing this big clearing, because it's all very well, it was an old hospital and it got run down and it got closed. But the frequency and the vibration was one of terror, was one of mistreatment, was one of starvation, was one of abuse. And they're building these beautiful retirement homes on there. But you drive into that and it's really sticky. And so that's what the dragons are saying is, we did it out of ignorance. Okay, we're a very ignorant, humans can be very ignorant. We weren't connected to multidimensional. We became very, 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 very one dimension. You know, what's in front of me is what's important. And so, you know, our communities are not built in the way that, you know, like a lot of other worlds are built, where they're built to support each other. And there's, you know, there is no less than and more than, it just is. You know, like from somebody who does, you know, like, you know, as somebody who's a cleaner and somebody who's a surgeon, energetically, they're both needed. Energetically, they both do amazing. But do we say to the cleaner or the, you know, oh my God, we couldn't exist without you? No, we tend to you know, we tend to look for the high, what we perceive or we've been taught and conditioned to do is that unless you've got an education, you know, unless you're a multimillionaire, unless you've bought several houses, you know, unless you've done this, this, and this, that you are less than. And I'm like, but it doesn't work that way. If everybody was a surgeon, we wouldn't be living anywhere because there'd be no houses built or cleaned, or, you know, so, you know, that it's a frequency. It's this beautiful song. And we, for so long as humans, have been sitting in one dimension going, oh, this is it. And we keep going, I'm awakened. And oh my God, I mean, I've done it too. I'd say I've been, you know, doing this for 40 plus years. And I look at what I with love and blessings and kind sight, who I was 40 years ago when I was offering services to who I am now. I don't recognize myself back then, but I was very humanized back then, and I was very trying to fit inside the square boxes, even of being a tarot reader, just saying, you know, you know, and so now it's like, it's about this frequency. And if something doesn't feel right for me, I'm really entering into this, I need to let it go. And that human part of me goes, do you have to? You know, you might. And I'm like, yes, I actually do, because my dragon is not going, or dragons are not accepting less for me now, if that makes sense. Because they're calling me home, and home for them is multidimensional healing.
Yeah.
It's like, wake up. You've had your head in the sand and your bum in the air for far too long, you know, and yeah, so frequency, vibration, there's going to be more sound coming out, but even their sound or their song is not hearable, if that makes sense.
No, it's not.
No.
Absolutely.
But it can be, but it is one way of communication, because music or frequency vibration has been a multi-universal language. It's like light language is multi-universal, multi-dimensional as well.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, so no, I haven't had any comments. That's why I'm just checking, making sure.
Yeah, it's there's I mean, they definitely are in a cleanup mode, and I feel that, you know, like if we look at the 9 months of the year, if we look at numerology and we go the 9 months, we're in the gestation stage, almost like the, you know, we come through into the 10th month, which is the one, new beginnings, birth and rebirth. So it's like we come out of the 9 and into this, you know, and that's what I love about us being where we are, is that we have our spring and everything's springing into life in that new beginnings, that rebirth, and the one energy with the 0 behind it. It's got such power, and I just love this time. And so I can see how it's important at this time, you know, like if we think about that again, it's like having all that time over the 9 months of, you know, maybe regurgitating some stuff, and then, you know, sort of processing with it as well, and clearing and cleaning ourselves up. And it's like everything now is pushing us so much. And, you know, even like today, I feel like my eyes are getting upgraded. It's like when there's high frequency stuff coming through, my eyes sort of burn. And it's like everything's so clear and crystal to me, you know. And last night, just sitting in meditation, it was like the energy that was flowing through was just like, was like being, so it was like particles of light just speeding past. It was like traveling with this, and it just moving so fast. And I thought, God, you know, it's really heightened, like really, it's got so fast now. We were sort of meandering along. Now it's like we're starting to pick up and really, you know, warp speed. It is like that. So
yeah.
and it's really pushing us.
And it's like get on or get off. Like there will be a lot drop away. There will be a lot drop out of spiritual. Well, I don't want to say spiritual, but there will be a lot that will not be open to growing and activating, because that's what they're talking about. It's like we've had this coding song within us all our life, and it's like, are you ready to activate it? You know, are you ready to step into that frequency? And to me, it's really exciting. I got to admit, when I first sort of felt it, was like, oh my God, too intense, you know, like almost like my body won't hold it. But I realized that when I surrender, it's about giving over. It's not giving in. It's like actually opening up and going, I'm dragon. What am I meant to be bringing through as dragon? Not as Jan. Because there's always there's a difference. Like I'm still me. I've still chosen to be human, being human. But it's not about that part anymore. So even within the work that I offer and the work that I'm going to be doing, that is being upgraded. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. And they're like, nah, time now, you know, like
no, Jan, no more holding on.
Yeah, I know. It's like free fall. Yeah.
That's the
I was
ego.
giggling after last Sunday because I knew it was like, yeah, this is to kickstart Jen into actually getting out and doing, in the sense of your dragon stuff, your stuff as dragon, and the energy and frequencies, the codes, all the stuff you bring through, which is amazing stuff. It's time now to actually enter into some lives of your own and do. And it was like they're giggling behind me, going, yeah,
and
yeah,
I
we'll
want to
just
always
watch
say,
and
yes,
see.
Mama Dragon, yes, Mama Dragon.
I know, it was funny. I was having a little giggle to myself.
Yeah, but it has been, and I got off the live last Sunday, and then we sort of said, oh, we'd probably do another one. I'm like, oh, and I know that I can manifest myself being sick if I don't want to do something. And I went, oh, no, I'm not doing that this time. I'm really not,
Awesome.
because, you know, and the thing is that I stepped into, you know, like I've written pages in my book, like it's really coming together and just flowing. They've told me it has to be out before I turn 60, so I've only got a year because I turn 59 next month, and then I'm in my 60th year anyway, so it has to be done. And so I've said to them, right, if this is how it's meant to be, then, you know, and it's just flowing, and it's almost like I surrendered to them typing as well. So it's so yeah,
that's the best bit, Jan. That's the part that I love about the book, when it's something that is actually spirits behind, God, creator, great spirit, whoever you want to call it. Is behind it, and with it, it's like it just flows. You're typing, yes, but it's like they're using your fingers, and it just flows through. There's no time involved, really.
No, and so for me, that was another lesson about not the surrender, but for me it's surrendering into multidimensional or multifaceted. It's a surrender into actually owning that higher frequency that I work at. And I've diminished myself for so long and allowed others to diminish me by default because I haven't allowed myself to.
I think too, Jan, I know for myself, you know, when we open up to that, it's like I have this, you know, I've been burnt out. I've worked too many hours, too long, no family life really. My home was my business office, you know, and for years and years and years, every day getting up to have a shower, rush around, get the house ready for clients all day. And it's like I'm over that. It's not my thing now. And burning out the way I did from living life like that, as that old saying, you got to work hard for what you do, you know, you get, and that's all switched around, of course, now. But in that process, when we think about expanding ourselves or becoming more, you know, and now whatever we're going to be doing and expanding that, there's this little part of me that goes, oh, but I don't want to be that busy anymore. I don't want to be rushing around every day, you know, chasing, or not chasing, but running with it. And I just, you know, it's in a flow. There's a beautiful flow, and I just want that to keep moving, but expanding with it. But there's, like I say, that little fear, or I suppose it is a fear within, that says, but hang on a minute, you know, I like my quiet time too. I don't want to have to, you know. So it's actually keeping ourselves in a balanced in it enough to have your space where you are. And I know for you, Jan, I know your lifestyle, I know you, and I know that you don't want to be doing it that way either. So there's a big part of us that likes to have our time out, and, you know, and we're not prepared to live our life doing that all day, every day.
I think it's really necessary for us to have that space.
Totally it is.
Because we are upgrading and we are getting older. You know, it's like, and we have been doing this for a very long time.
Yes.
You know, but I've been doing it 30 odd years as well. And it's like, oh, okay, time for me just to be able to put my feet up and have a little rest. So doing lives, doing clients over Zoom or whatever is way easier than having people come to my home, creating workshops, doing. It's like, you just get to that point where physically and emotionally you can get exhausted.
And I think what it is when, for me, and I had two beautiful clients come to my home yesterday, and I do live sort of semi-rural now. and they weren't horrible, and they were absolutely beautiful, and I loved it. But what I was aware is that they entered my space.
Mm-hmm.
And my home is now becoming really, really sacred to me.
Yeah.
And it's when my dragons play and my dragons flow, and it's almost like I don't want to share that space with clients, if that makes sense. I want to actually hold my space as being sacred. I want to have the people coming into my space that I love and I adore and who lift me up and are my vibe and tribe. Yeah. So, it's not, so what it is for me, it was just a gentle reminder. Sometimes, well, it wasn't gentle. My dragons are laughing. They're going, it's not gentle. That I need to take all of my work online. They have asked me to do some face-to-face dragon workshops, but they've also asked me to actually, because one of my biggest things as a human has been being paid for what I'm giving or what I'm offering. And I've always seen myself as not being worthy. And they're like slapping me around the head with a wing, like clip. Because if I don't value what they're gifting me with and what I'm a channel for, if I don't value that, I'm diminishing the dragons. I'm not just diminishing myself. Exactly. I'm actually diminishing what they're gifting me. Yeah. So will I be doing a hands-on workshop? Yes, next year, but it'll be limited. Will I be doing one online? Absolutely, but it will be limited, like keeping the classroom or the energy small, intimate, but it's going to be, because that's what the dragons have said, like collectively, me standing up in front of 30 or 40 people trying to teach about connecting with your prime or about the whole six, there's too much energy. It's too much. So I need to keep it smaller. So what it was for me last week was, I can do it live. It wasn't that scary. Well, it was. I got to admit, I was scared. Okay. Mandy knows me too well. She's probably sitting there calling bullshit. But what I did realise is that I was going to show up today. That I didn't turn around and say no. When you said again, Mandy, let's do this again, I actually didn't say no. And my old instinct would have been, I need to go and process this for 6 months to 10 years before I do another live. So what it is this energy vibration for them is they're actually clearing out my lines as well.
Yeah.
The frequency
So we've just got a message from one of my friends. It says, hi guys, I've heard from 2 different sources now who have connected with dragons that they didn't see their wings until the need to fly. It made me think that maybe I need to activate my own wings in order to fly. Makes sense? Have you got thoughts? And when I read that, I went, so maybe, Jan, there is an activation that you're going to bring through today that activates people more deeply into their dragon energy. Because we could talk about this all day, but for me, the activations are way more important. Last week when we did this, one of my clients from years ago sends me a picture of a dragon that she drew a year ago. And oh my God, it was so beautiful. But this dragon's been calling her, and our activation that we did last week activated her into more action as well. So that's just my thoughts.
Just your thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
You had mentioned though, Jan, that you might do an activation if it was
called for.
Yep, and I mean that is just it, because like as I said, when we work with all the the 6 that I've like, when we connect in with our one, that is and we create our own wings. Like I don't fly on the back of any of mine, I fly with them. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I haven't quite seen my own dragon colors yet. But I know my 6 now, because the other 2 stepped up after last week and went, well, you mentioned us, so we're here now. So now I'm working with, so absolutely. I'm happy to do that. Do you want me to do it now, or do you want? Okay.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
You're on.
I'm on. Okay. Oh God, they're dancing. They're really happy. All right. So I just want you to just settle and just take a nice deep breath and just releasing, letting everything fall away that does not serve you at this time. And another deep breath in. And as you breathe out, I want you to go into the sacred within you. However you hold it, wherever it is, the sacred space within you is yours and yours alone. And none may enter without your permission. So within the sacred space, this is you in your purest, open, multidimensional, multifaceted energy. And as you continue to breathe, I want you to feel and call in your dragon. Just one today, the one that has waited, the one that wishes to be activated alongside you. And as you call this beautiful energy into your sacred space, you may be aware of a color or just the frequency and vibration. Whatever you receive is perfect for you. And as this dragon energy flows through your sacred, I want you to feel that deep connection, that energy, and in this moment, the knowing if you are dragon, if you are rider, and if you are rider, your dragon bows and allows you to climb onto their back. You lay down across their back and place your arms alongside of their neck, finding the space and the place that is comfortable for you. If you are dragon, I want you to feel that activation between your shoulder blades. I want you to see, sense and feel your body transforming, transmuting. The beautiful wings bursting forth. Just allowing yourself to surrender into the frequency and vibration that you are as dragon. Whatever you feel, it is safe. You are safe. And with your wings fully expanded, or upon the back of your dragon, they ask you now to join them for just a moment, to leave the sacred within you and to be taken to the multidimensional energy to see how you are connected to your own to others. I want you to feel that song, that vibration, allowing it to flow through you until that song, that frequency, that vibration becomes part of every cell within you, as dragon or as rider. See how your energy, how your frequency, how your vibration adds to the multi-dimension that is here right now for Earth, for Mother Earth, for all that walk, swim and fly upon her. Feeling that vibration and that energy, finding your own song and knowing now that it is imprinted within every cell, that once your sacred, your dragon and you are all connected, there is nothing but dragon. So just allowing that energy, and just for a moment, you to look down at Mother Earth, you to see all the ley lines, the bypasses, the superhighways, and just add you and your frequency and your vibration to that energy. See how it is amplified and awakened, how it flows through, building, growing, expanding, and awakening. And know that even as you return to human, that your dragon self or dragon rider has now stepped into this frequency, and this will continue. See how each and every one that is dragon rider, and there are other races and realms, have come together. Now is our time for humans to awaken to all that is and accept our place in all that is. Not separate, just a beautiful frequency and song. And so it is. So knowing that at any time your sacred is where your dragons wait, where conversations are held, the sacred conversations. Just want you to allow yourself to come back into your human. Those of us that have wings, just feel them folding into our back, feeling that expansive, activated energy within us. Those that are riders, thanking our dragon for the trust and the love, knowing that they are there for us if we need and when we call. Understanding now that even as riders, you carry dragon within you, that they have gifted you their song, and you carry their song within you. So as rider, you hold dragon song, and as dragon, you hold song, and so it is. So taking a nice deep breath in, and just allowing the energy and the vibration to settle into sacred, to call yourself back to human, and knowing that this journey has been activated, awakened, and is safe and beautiful and waiting for you whenever you choose. So just taking a nice deep breath in and allowing your human to stretch and wiggle fingers and toes and breathe yourself back into being. Aho.
Thank you, Jan.
Yeah, I was asked to keep it short and simple for the first one.
Good, thank you. What I was getting shown there was they are singing into clearing the crystals in the earth. So it's like I was taken down into the caves of crystals, and there was frequency being sung that was activating the crystals within the earth. So I know that it's sort of like, for me, I think, well, they don't really, why would they need activating? But these did. I could feel that there was a density around them and with them that really took off and activated once that had happened.
So those that are in the earth still may choose to remain in the earth and need us to stop raping and pillaging and digging them out.
Yeah.
Like to use them as a collective, as where they are, rather than.
Yes.
And I mean, that's not to say that crystals are not beautiful, and I know that people buy them, and I've got them as well. But some of these ones hold such ancient leyline or ancient knowledge from the beginning that they actually want to stay there. They're anchor points for the new beginnings and the new, Yeah.
And I remember being shown ages ago the icebergs, they're melting, but they're releasing ancient codes that they've held for a very long time. And I was shown like a spine coming from them down into the water, and it was like a spine, but it was just like a spine, really, and like a jellyfish, clear, you could see through it. And it was anchored also, the tail of it, right down into the earth. So it was going right down in the depths of the water. And it was shedding and releasing this. And it was sort of indicating to me that this is also our spine. It's like and igniting the glands here, all of that. We know all that stuff. But this was how, when whatever water we connect with, because we are that, it was that we didn't even need to go and put our toe in the ocean. It was that this water is all connected and we're all getting these codings. And that was something that I was shown with, that was about 4 years ago, maybe. And that the other races that are sitting in the water, the ships and the bases that are in the Antarctic and all over this planet and in the deep oceans, they had been shifting. And this is where I was getting to with the whale and the whale beaching. And there's been a big beaching here apparently too, and many died, but just in the last day or so. And that was what was creating their change, was these sonic waves were being released that was altering the vibration in the water, and changing all of that for these codes being released as well. So it was sort of like, this interference, definitely. And I can see here that Dragon's back on that mish again as well. It's this cleanup again.
Well, they are guardians and gatekeepers. I mean, they're singers, teachers, healers. They hold lots of different frequencies, but I sort of, they are such gatekeepers, and you know, every other being out there in dragon and everything else is ready for us to step up, and they're just waiting. And I think they're sort of done waiting. It's like time to take the trainer wheels off and actually, you know, give this energy and frequency the chance to repair some of the damage we've done as humans and our ignorance and greed and terror and everything else, and conditioning and programming, and to come back to our true source self, which was created alongside the dragons. And then it's almost like somebody put us in a jar and shook us up and then scrambled us and put us on the earth and said, well, go for it, you know, like put yourself back together again. You know.
Yeah.
And remembering that this is whatever the planet's doing, whatever that body is doing there, this body here is doing that. It's like we are one. It's not separate to us. So this cleansing is happening within us, and this is the extension of us and our clearing and our crystals being attuned and all of that. Nikki's just written in, thanks, Nick. I saw a great cream dragon with darker color points. I touched my hands to his face. I then saw my own wings come out to the sides of my vision. There was all this water pouring off my wings. So beautiful. Thanks for sharing that, Nick.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
When I came out of that, it was like my whole spine went clickety, clickety, click as I went back in.
My wings really didn't want to. They resisted. Like, really, they were like, can we stay up for a bit longer?
Yeah, no, it was definitely my whole spine, especially the upper part of my spine, was clicking away.
Yeah. Beautiful way. And on Friday I went and, you know, had been outside working, mowing lawns and stuff, and went and showered before going on a call that was a dragon call again by a different group, and a woman who was calling dragon in as well. And I thought, well, here we go, you know, it's like they're getting everyone involved. And so I went on that call, but while I was in the shower, it was like, this doesn't feel the same. Everything feels very different. Like the water felt different on my hands and my body, and my body actually felt really different. And I realized I was in dragon. I was me dragon in the shower. It was really weird, but so tangible. Like actually, it was the weirdest type of feeling, but cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So is there anything else anyone would like to share before we sort of sign out? Anything else that Dragon wants to bring through?
Those that have
Sorry, I'll just say this, putting your crystals out in this full moon, I've just got this too, is to just put your crystals out more than ever at this time. And the attunement, it's like tuning them up as well to activate you as well. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I also got to, is for those that have activated or however, is just to deepen that relationship, like really honor it and respect it, and spend some time getting to know either yourself as a dragon and why you're being called to dragon. Because if you're being called to dragon, it's not just because, it's actually for a soul purpose or a source purpose.
Yes.
And if you're a rider, really connecting with that dragon and understanding what frequency they're working in and what they're wishing to gift you right now for your activation. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, it's a really symbiotic thing, is that I don't want to say friendship because it's deeper than that. It's a really intimate connection that you end up with. It's like, to even be a dragon rider, it's, you know, for them to allow you on their back is pure love and trust, you know. So just don't pat them on the head and go away and forget about them if you've activated today. Or, you know, I mean, they're patient, but they're not really, because it's like, if you it's like, don't invite us to dinner and then you know, that's it. You know, it's not a blind date that you get a time out from.
No, exactly. And it's not, it's sort of, there is sort of an urgency, but it's a calm, it's not frantic urgent. It's a calm urgent.
Yeah.
You know,
so
don't
it's more
sit
like
around any longer.
Yeah, and it's more like a courtship. Get to know each other. You know, spend some time conversing with them. You know, like we don't rush from meeting somebody to marrying them and living with them. Well, realistically, I know it happens, but you know what I mean. But for most people, when we're introduced to you, you know, as you know, when we're introduced as when we're introduced to them, it's like, it is like meeting somebody for the first time. But having that instant connection with them, like I know you from somewhere, or I've met you before, or you're my vibe or my tribe. We do that with humans, other humans. But we still take the time to get to know them. And, you know, these dragons have been waiting for all our lifetimes for us to activate and work with them. And they are getting a slightly impatient. They've still got patience, but it's a little bit like, no, the door's open, it's not getting shut again, like their claws wedged right in there. So yeah,
what they are wanting is for us to walk the talk.
Yes,
they really want us to step in and actually walk this talk, rather than just talking about it and doing that. It's actually action. And you know, I remember going through all that 3 years, you know, of chaos on the planet as we saw it, and I remember thinking, you know, everyone's in such a mental space with this, that what's happening to the energetics of it? You know, who's working on the energetic side of it? Who's doing energy work?
There's been a lot of terror dumped out there in the last few years, just saying, with everything that's gone on. And I think that's why they're sort of talking about, you know, like we start like atmosphere, they want to clear up the waters, they want to clear up our crystals, they want to clear up our ley lines. It's like spring clean is almost the words I'm getting, but not just with a duster. It's like getting in there and really scrubbing it out and doing what needs to be done. And you know, and it's deep cleansing, because they're trying to bring us back to that balance point, which will then allow us to activate even more. And for them, that their greatest wish is to actually be seen by our human eyes in this world. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Thank you, Jan. And my dragon wanted to acknowledge your dragon and say thank you so much for being brave enough to step out of behind wherever you've been behind and bring forward all of your knowledge and all of your knowing around the dragons. I just wanted to say
thank you.
I had absolutely, Jan, brave, and you know, loving this coming out. I love the coming out.
So somebody who's known me since I was born, Mandy's been along for the whole ride, people's just letting you know. There's no more hiding. There's no more hiding, and no more being diminished, because my dragons roar now. Like they really do, like they will not accept me being diminished as a human by anybody or anything, and me being my own worst enemy at times. I will own that. Because it's time. I'm activated now, and they're not going to allow me, you know, to unactivate, you know. It's a little bit like, well, you're activated now, there's no turning around, there's no going back, and there is only upwards and onwards, and it's exciting. And yes, sometimes, you know, I may sort of want to sit and process, but I'm not allowed to process for years anymore. Okay, it's just days. Days.
Exactly.
Whereas before it used to be years. I'd get something and it would take me 5 years to actually open my mouth and speak to somebody else about
it.
But we've all been there, done that.
Definitely.
Sorry, Nick was saying that she was hearing the word justice from the dragon I had come through. So it's bringing things back into balance, really. When I think of justice, it's like, you know, coming back into balance. The scales,
the scales,
you know?
Oh yes,
of course, you know. And you know, if she is about justice, then she is being called to balance in all areas of her life, and her dragon is probably gonna beautiful. And it is about balance.
Look out, Nick.
Look out, Nick. Strap on, get ready
In
for the
fact,
ride.
look out, everyone. I mean, it's not a big danger warning, but you know, if you're ready for this, which obviously, you know, you probably are coming into the call and you know, Nick's laughing, but if you are called in and you have been called in, you will be getting prodded and gentle little nudges, not real pushover, you know, shoving you along the street.
Unless you're Jan and then you get shoved.
Poor Bev.
Yeah, I just got shoved, okay.
But you know, you will be. And so just, you know, listen to the prompts. And I know that there's been, you know, in the workshops I've been running recently, there's a part in there about what distractions have you got going on and what do you get distracted with and by. And most of the time, most everyone there had lots of distractions, and there is in this world at this time, and any time of this world we've been in. There's a lot of distractions, good and not so good. But one of the things that really came to the fore in all of the workshops is that people are not listening to the prompts. Their soul's prompting them to do. And it's time for action now. We've had, you know, these last 3 years have thrown us out of kilt, really. They've taken us back. We've had to get back, stop, look and listen. You know, the shutdowns, the lockdowns were all about stop, look and listen. We've done all that. Choices have been made. We're now getting on again. And I think one of the times for us in our pioneer, Bev and I, you know, Jan, you probably come in on that a wee bit too, is that, well, you probably do actually, yes, is that we've been doing this for a very long time, as you mentioned, Bev, you know, and it's been tiring. Like, we've had a tireless time of this. It's been, you know, for many, many, many years, I felt like I was bashing my head against a brick wall because there weren't many awake and weren't many wanting to get into their spiritual life as such. It was very human and it was very dense. And I know for myself in my teenage years, it was quite scary facing that, knowing that I was here to do what I was here to do, knowing that. And I did carry it like a big burden on my shoulders for a long time until I realized, actually, stop, that's just been a martyr. So this is the time now where it's time to really listen to the prompts of your soul. You're getting prompted and pushed and poked, and really listen to that and start walking this now, because we have to walk this new world into creation. We can't just sit back and talk about it. We are actually here to create it into being. So that's only going to happen by walking the talk, by actioning what we're getting prompted to do. And I know sometimes it can be difficult in the sense of, you know, fear might come up because we're on our own. We have to do it. We think on our own. Whereas when we take the steps, it's always going to be the best thing for you, and there will always be others to come in and offer you through that, as you're never, ever on your own. And just to plug out here too, on Tuesday at 1 o'clock New Zealand time, Bev and I will be talking about love and loneliness. And for me, that was a huge topic in the sense of what's been going on the planet over these last 3 years in particular. And so that again is something that I feel we've been holding on to a lot of wounding over, and that is part of the terror stuff that we've been in about actioning our truth, you know. So now it's time to take dragon in as your, you know, your friend and your foe, because they are here to help us move through them, move through that fear and break through those barriers that are holding you back from actioning and walking your talk.
Uncreating.
It's really important.
Uncreating.
Yes.
And then that
Absolutely.
leaves space for creating. So sometimes we need to uncreate to create.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
But done with love and done with a bit of humor and a lot of wisdom and claw tapping and wings ruffling and probably big sighs sometimes. But that's what they're here for. You know, they can sing in and they sing out. They uncreate, but they don't uncreate just to destroy. They uncreate because it no longer serves.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
You know,
and so much is dropping away now. Let it go. Just let it go, and know that there's more that's going to be better for you all. And that's I mean, I always look forward to it. I know when something's shifting, and I you know, I always know it's just going to be the best thing for me. That coming through this, whatever it is at the time, is going to be great, you know. So, you know, my haka, it's always bring it on.
My biggest prompt that I've had lots of prompts that I've followed, but the biggest one was I was probably 56 and just re-established myself after my marriage breakdown, you know, just created my beautiful home and had to sell it all up and move to New Zealand. But it was, I did, but it was absolutely for my own personal growth and for those, quite a lot of those that I worked with. It expanded something like, okay, I haven't got any words for the expansion that it caused through me following my prompt. Yeah,
beautiful. I'm so glad you followed that prompt.
Oh, ditto.
Yeah,
I am.
And sometimes we don't know why we are prompted, but if we trust enough to go, then or do, it's like, you know, me moving to where I've moved to now, but I know why I'm here. But I think a lot of people wondered why, but I didn't need other people to give me permission to be where I needed to be.
No.
And that's one thing I have left behind is that doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve them. So, you know, I'm all about uncreating what no longer serves me and bringing in this activation, this creation energy. And it's amazing. It really is.
Following your heart's desire. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, ladies, again for coming in, and thank you all the Dragon Clan. I just know this is heading somewhere wonderful. I know it's going, it's already moving, it's doing, it's acting out. So, you know, we'll just go with the flow with the go.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, girls.
Have a beautiful Sunday for the rest of it.
Yes, have a beautiful birthday, Mandy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful way to spend it, though, you know, sharing it all with everyone here and all our clan. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks to all the viewers.